Alright, so I am drawing a line along the bottom of the wall, or just sort of to the bottom of the wall, just where I want my wallpaper to start. So it'll go from here up. So I'm just making a little line just to have as a guideline. And I've got that done all the way around now. And I've just gone 2 inches up from the floor. And I've got my fabric or my wallpaper cut. And that should fit right where I've got it. That should go right along that line. So that's just really going to help me line that up as I'm doing this, because I wasn't sure what kind of glue to use. I didn't know if I would go with the tacky glue or the spray glue, but I have settled for spray glue. So I went out this weekend and got this, and I'm hoping this will work good. I hope that when I do this that I'll have a little wiggle room, like maybe slide it around a little bit if I need to slide it around. I hope it don't stick instantly, because that could do some major damage if I have to pull it off. I'm just going to hope that this works. So I'm going to actually take this piece that I've got cut. Well, I'm going to cut it to fit a little bit better. I'm going to go from like, I don't know, I'm kind of wanting, I wished it could just go in a continuous piece and not piece it at all. But if I have to piece it, I want to piece it in the corners of the wall. So I may just do one wall at a time. But I'd like to get that, I'd like to have sort of a seamless look, but it might just be easier to work one wall at a time. Okay, so I've sprayed this really good, and I don't think it's going to be bad. I think this is going to go on pretty easy. It's really sticky. And also, something that I've done is let me make sure. I'm going to bump the camera. I'm trying to get in a position where I can see what I'm doing. Okay, definitely don't want to scoot around too good. Like, it's pretty much in place. I'm just grabbing this table because it's the only thing that I've got close. I didn't really plan. I should have had something like a credit card or something to smooth it. And it doesn't go all the way up, but that's okay because I'm going to put trim across there. But that actually went on pretty good. Now, I was completely right. This has absolutely no wiggle room. Like, you just kind of have to get it exactly where you want it, because that's pretty good. Like, that's pretty darn permanent. But it feels like it's going to hold really well. And then I'll cut this out later. I'm not worried about that. I didn't get it in the corner very well, but yeah, I'll work with that. I don't know. This side looks really good. That side's a little wonky, but when I come around with that piece, I will kind of overlap it just a little bit. And if I have to, I can go in with some paint or something, or even do a trim. I don't know yet till I get that far, but that stuck really good. I like how that spray glue did, but I'm going to do the rest of the wall. Okay, so on this side, well, one thing I did is I actually came up a little bit. Like, there's going to be chair rail around here with some board at the bottom, and I stuck one of my little characters in here. And that first line that I had, you can see that's a little too low for like a chair rail. So I brought it up a little bit more because I just felt it looked more real, or how it would really be. And then each piece that I'm cutting, I kind of dry fit that in just to make sure it's going to fit. And then I will spray it and stick it in there. So that's one thing you want to do, is just make sure your piece fits before you glue it in, and that way you don't have to really go back through and try to cut stuff out, other than cutting out those windows. But this way it'll pretty well be where it needs to be, and you don't have to try to cut corners or nothing, because your corners will already be cut and matched up. So I think that's looking really good so far, and I think once I do more in the room, you're not going to focus on if the pattern matches up perfect. I would not be a very good wallpaper hanger, and it's dark outside at the time I'm doing this, so if it wasn't dark, I'd just go sit outside and do this. But with it being dark, I'm just doing like one piece at a time and having to walk outside and walk back in and walk outside and walk back in. I definitely don't want to spray this glue in the house, because the smell would like freak me out after a while. All right, so I'm working on a piece, and it's definitely a little bit hard. Having that little table helps me flatten that out. I'm going to move the camera. All right, I think, boop, that looks pretty good. Now, it looks kind of wavy in there, but that's going to get cut out anyway. As long as it's flat on the walls, that's all that matters. But I think that's looking so good. So this last wall right here was a little tricky. Like, it was wanting to stick to my fingers and kind of pull away, and I was struggling a little bit. I didn't film that, but I didn't think it was going to do that. I kind of wish y'all could have seen how that was doing. But I'm really good at working with little fidgety, stressful things. So even though it's getting to me, I managed to get it on and get it where it needed to be. But it was a little stressful, and it was wanting to pull away. So always keep your fingers clean when you are working with anything where you're doing glue. But whew, I finally got it on. I'm so glad that's done. It wasn't that hard to do, and I probably didn't even take 20 minutes to put this around this wall. I don't even think it took 10 minutes, but anyway, I've got the kitchen done. Now I will just snip this out with those tiny little scissors and clean the windows and doors up before I move on to the next room. Well, actually, I just thought of something. I don't want to cut this out with the scissors, because as I cut that, it'll get that glue all over the scissors, and it would be a horrible, horrible problem. So I'm actually just going to let this glue dry. I probably won't even try to cut this out until like tomorrow or something. So I'm just going to let that fully dry, and I can go ahead and maybe just do the other room while that's doing that. All right, so here's the first piece for Dorothy's room, and it's a little bit short on the top and the bottom, but I did that just because, like the other walls, it'll have the trim at the top and the bottom. And I don't even care what it's doing back in this corner. It didn't go all the way to the wall, but that's fine, because that closet's going to be there, and I can just piece that later, or either leave it like it is or piece it, whichever. It's going to be in there, and you're not going to really see it. But that kind of bugs me. It's almost like it shrank when the glue hit it. I don't think it did, but I thought I cut it a little better than that. And over here I said, dry fit your pieces, make sure they fit. Well, I didn't do that to this, so that's my fault. And I'll finish this up tomorrow. I think it's going to go pretty quick. I mean, you saw me do that piece. That went on pretty easy. Oh my gosh, I'm just crazy about how that looks. I just love the piece of fabric that I chose for the paper in this room. All right, I've decided to do at least one more piece, because I thought if I can't at least do the wallpaper in the dark, I can at least sit here in the house and work on that closet. So I went out there and I sprayed this piece and I've brought it in. And I've actually made it a little bit longer so it can fold over onto that other wall and kind of hide. Oh my gosh, it looks good. Hide that little piece where I didn't come all the way over. That actually looks amazing. Oh my gosh, look how good that looks. This is like way, way easier than I thought. Now it is a little nerve-wracking, but you just got to do it when you're focused. You don't want to be sitting here with a camera in your face trying to do this. That would probably make it quite a bit easier, but I think it's on pretty good. That looks almost seamless. That looks really, really good. That just looks way better than I thought it would. That pattern is so busy that it just kind of blends. Like it totally don't when you get right up on it, but it just looks so good. Now I'm going to do the walls here, like one here and one there, and I'm actually going to put them together like an L and wallpaper those before I even glue them into here. I just think that'd be a little bit easier. All right, so I'm going to cut out these parts for the closet. And one thing I want to say, this is a really ugly piece. It's got wet and it's got paint on it. And one thing I wanted to say before I forget it is I have been using this pretty white foam board for the walls. And back here in this room, there's a pencil mark that you can see. I'm afraid that's going to show through the wallpaper, depending on what color I go with. But if you have like a lot of stuff like this on your foam board, or if you're using cardboard for your walls that's got prints on it like words, be sure you lay your fabric down and make sure it doesn't show through, because there's a few things over on this wall that might be a problem later when I get to that room, but I'm hoping that it's not. And with this piece, that bad part's going to be on the inside, so I'm not worried about that. But I've got this wall marked as wide as I want it here. And then to get the top of it cut, I'm just putting it back here and drawing a line to figure out how tall that needs to be. So that's how tall I need to do my wall. All right, so I've got that cut out, the little closet walls. And the piece that I cut out from here, I'm going to keep that, and that will become the door later. And this wall here is a little bit off. I made a tiny little pencil mark right there. If you can see it, that's where I need to put the bottom of that wall to make sure it lines up with this one over here. But I'm going to wallpaper this before I put it in. And one thing, like I was saying, over on this wall in the other room, there are some markings that I don't want to be seen. So I'm going to actually attach this piece of computer paper, just plain white computer paper, to cover up those marks before I put the wallpaper up so it don't show through. And then on this wall, I've got some pencil marks, but I can just erase those. And that's how that looks. And you can sort of see where the door is. And I actually made it just a little bit longer, just so it could kind of wrap around those edges. I actually cut it the first time and had it cut so perfect that it was showing a little bit of the white. I didn't have it cut good enough, so I recut it, made sure it was flapped around the edge, and then that will just cover so much better. And I actually didn't even erase those pencil marks, and they don't seem to be showing through, so that's good too. And I'll probably cut that little door frame out before I glue that in, because that'll be sort of harder to do at this angle. So I was cutting this from the door, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. And also I was cutting this door here, and let me see, that's how well this is sticking. But I'm kind of hopeful, because actually I've put little cuts where I want to let me try to get my camera to focus here. I've put little snips where I want to come all the way up that line and go across, where it needs to go. But anyway, what was I going to say really? I'm still going to cut the windows out, cut the doors out, and I'm still going to glue it. I mean, it's almost made it a little stiffer, and I'm still going to glue it back on. I'm just going to peel all this off. Now over here on these walls, we're just going to hope that this stays, because I mean, it's on. These closet walls are in, and I still think it'll be okay. I'm still going to use the same spray glue. I just feel like maybe that spray glue absorbed into that fabric and it soaked into that fabric more than it stuck to the wall. I don't know, but I'm thinking a second time around will hold it better. And also, once I glue trim to the top and bottom, and put little nails in the wall to hang things on the wall, I still think it's going to work. I'm going to go the whole way with doing this, and a year down the road, if it starts to fall apart, then uh I guess I'll figure that out at that time. But I'm gonna get rip it off, cut the doors and stuff out, glue it back just like I had it, and I really do think that it will hold better, but we'll see. So I've got all these parts cut off that go in these places. Did I say got all these parts cut off? I got all these parts pulled off, cut the windows and doors out, and I'm going to respray them and stick them back in here. And I think that'll be good. I really do. And this piece is actually not wanting to come off. So it's like some places are really stuck. Like I was pulling so hard that it's ripping the paper. So tomorrow, when it's daylight and I can take this out, I'm just going to spray the heck out of that and just put that back down and do the same to these other pieces. And then I'm just going to hope this over here is good. These pieces, I'm going to make sure I cut the window out before I glue it to the wall, because it is so hard to cut that hole out for that window after you've glued it on. Plus, doing that, you're going to have to pull on it, which is not going to be good. You don't want to pull on it or do anything to irritate it once you get it on there. Maybe I started pulling on it and trying to cut those doors out before it was really dry. Maybe I should have let it sit on the walls overnight. I don't know what the problem is. Now it's funny because this was the first piece I'd put on, and it's the piece that's sticking the best, and maybe that's because the glue had dried. So maybe it was my fault. Maybe I was pulling on it too soon. I don't know, but again, I still think it will work the second time around. I think it is, maybe it wasn't dry enough. So anyways, I'm just going to take a break because I'm a little stressed with this project right now. So I think it'll just be better if I just push all this to the side and come back to it tomorrow. All right, so I've done one thing. I wanted tonight to get this part done, so I cut this door out, and I'm putting this piece back down, and I need to find that little table where I could smooth that down. Okay, there's my little table. I actually pulled that off, cut that door out, kind of crude. It was, like I said, it was so hard to cut that out, so I just ripped that piece off to make it a little easier. I held my ruler up here, drew a little line there to kind of help me go by to cut that out. Anyway, I struggled to get that out, and I literally just came here. I'm inside my room. I brought my can of spray glue. I sprayed the wall in here in the house. I didn't even care at this point. And because of course I couldn't take that whole piece out because the closet wall's in the way. But I've sprayed that wall, pressed it back down, and it's holding really good. So this is that bedroom wall in Annie Em and Uncle Henry's room where I said I had some stuff on there that I don't want it to show through the wallpaper. So I'm just going to take that little piece of computer paper and just spray glue it onto the wall. And then, as you can see, that just makes that look like a pretty clean wall, and it just hides all those flaws. Alright, so I'm on my last piece of wallpaper, and the way I've been doing this around the doors and windows is I just sort of take it and lay it kind of where I know it's going to be, and then I take something hard like a hardback book or something and just press it up against the back here just to have something firm, and then I take and trace it, and that will give me a line where to cut out for the window. And then I cut that out before I glue it in, because it is way better to cut that out before gluing it in. Alright, so here is where we are now, and of course this is the next day. When I came back to this morning, I just went back to gluing these parts in the kitchen, and you can sort of see a little wrinkle in it up here, but I'll flatten that down later. The living room, the fabric that I actually had picked for the living room was this piece, and looking at it compared to what is on the wall, there's not really that much different, only this is green and that's blue. This piece looks a little bit darker than this piece because I went over it with Mod Podge, which is what I'm going to do with the whole thing. You can sort of see some wrinkles in this piece, and I'm not sure why it did that, because none of the other parts in the house did that. So I don't know why I've got that big wrinkle. I'm hoping when I put the Mod Podge on there that it might smooth or flatten that back out. I'm not sure why it did it. And I don't know how well you can see, but there are some stripes in this wallpaper over here. That is some fabric that I found. I thought this fabric, you can see it better here, the stripes. I thought it looked like it could be wallpaper, and even though the stripes are far apart, I still thought it looked pretty good in the house, and that will show up better when we do more close-up scenes. But this was so stressful and so aggravating to try and get this on the wall. That spray glue was a pain. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I probably would. Just know that it's not going to be the easiest. I don't know really what kind of glue is the best. I guess it all depends on what you're gluing it to. But you can see, as I spin that around, you can just really see how wavy that piece got. I didn't really put any more glue than what the rest of the house got, so I just don't know why that got so wavy. You can sort of see those lines in the wallpaper here. Well, I can't remember what I was even wanting to say. I'm just so glad it's done. I've got the whole house wallpapered. I just need to finish Mod Podging the parts that I didn't get done, because that really helps hold it to the wall. And Dorothy's room looks amazing. The kitchen looks pretty good. It's a little bit rough in some spots, but I kind of like that because it just looks like an old farmhouse wallpaper. Dorothy's room is just blowing my mind. I love how that one's turned out. This one's been completely Mod Podged. There were just a few places where it didn't want to stick. So I just went with some tacky glue and went behind it, and I probably should have stuck with the tacky glue from the start, but it was painful, or not painful. Well, it was kind of painful. It was kind of just annoying trying to get this done. And when it comes to doing the Scooby-Doo house, I don't have to worry about imperfections, because it's purposely going to be done crude. I don't care if it peels off or rips off or whatever, because that's going to be a haunted house, and that'll be a fun project. This, when you're trying to make it look good, though, it was so hard. And even the floor, I've gone over the floor. Let me grab a piece of what I used. What I used for her floor is this canvas. I don't know how well the texture of that shows up. I think the light being on kind of drowns out a lot of that detail. But it's just canvas, because I was actually noticing, and I never actually noticed it before, but she has carpet in her house. I had never noticed that. As many times as I've watched that movie and all the pictures that I've looked at, I just never really thought about that or noticed it. But I was trying to think of something to use for carpet, and it looks different in real life than it does on camera, because there is sort of a texture to it, and I think that'll pick up better when I get to doing close-ups and stuff. But I really like that, and when I glued that down, I used Elmer's glue, and I don't know where I got these giant bottles of Elmer's glue, but I thought I've had them forever, and I thought I need to find a use for those and get some of that used up. So I just used a big paintbrush and just smeared that on the floor, and I just cut these little pieces of canvas to fit each room and just laid them down and pressed it down with my hands, making sure it was smooth and flat. And actually these pieces of canvas was a little wavy and wrinkly, but as they stuck to that glue and started to dry, it just really smoothed it out really good. And also, I took the canvas and I soaked it in water and let that dry before I cut it to fit the room, because canvas will shrink, and you just want to shrink it before you cut it and put it in. You know, if any of you decide to use that for a floor or wallpaper or whatever, you know, just remember canvas will shrink. So when you glue it down, it might shrink. So I just went ahead and uh, wetted that and let it dry before I even cut it or done anything with it. But again, I'm just so glad this part's done. I do need to go over where I couldn't with the Mod Podge. I just ran out of Mod Podge, which I can't believe that. I thought I had a whole bunch of that, but I guess I don't. I guess I've been using more than I realized. Now, I didn't even go across the top here. This space above this doorway is not as tall as it should be, because there actually should be enough room up there to hang a picture right above this door. That's not going to get to happen unless I make that wall a little thicker there. But again, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I'm just trying to think. Let me see what else. Oh yeah, the floor in the kitchen. I was going to use these popsicle sticks, but I laid them out and there's not really enough. But I did find these little colored popsicle sticks, and I do have more of those. I think I've got enough of these to do the floor. So that's what I'm going to use to cover the floor in the kitchen, and then I can just paint those later. But I guess that's enough for this video, because I feel like this video is long. I don't know how long it's going to be. But it's just been such a aggravating thing. Like, would I ever do wallpaper again? I'd have to really want to do wallpaper before I'd do it again, and I would never go back and do this one again. But anyway, I guess I'll end the video here. I was going to get into some other things, but I'll just make that another video for the next time. And until then, I'll see you at the next video, and just like and subscribe so you can keep up with this project.